something interesting is sure to happen. Well, I think you ought to tell me who you are first. Mr. Rabbit? Then why did you ask the question?
Goodness, this is quite extraordinary.
Would you tell me, please, which way I ought to go from here?
But today is turning into the most curious adventure I have ever had.
Hello and welcome to the Alice in Wonderland podcast. So as you know, this is a place for you to drop in, let your imagination loose, and to really have a sense of wonder and, most importantly, curiosity. So you know I'm your host, Georgia Ellis, but today's episode is going to be a little bit different. I'm not going to be the host. I'm going to take you back to 2018, where I was invited with Guy Lawrence to as joint guests on the Hot Entrepreneur podcast that is sponsored by JoyFM. And we had this amazing host, Elizabeth Jackson, and I really want you to participate and get some insights into what Guy and I offered to people who are potentially in a state of entrepreneurship, starting their own business, or looking to do that. But even if you're not, what we cover in this episode is really insightful and incredible for you as you're starting any type of journey in life. We talk a little bit about self-awareness and neuroscience. So there are 2 episodes to this. We were asked to come in for one of the episodes, and Elizabeth was really taken by what we had to offer. So she invited us back for a second time as well to finish off the series of the Hot Entrepreneur podcast. So I'd like to thank Elizabeth for allowing us to repurpose the podcast episode and to share it with you. So please enjoy, and I look forward to hearing what you get out of this. And please jump on and follow some of Guy's work and also Elizabeth's work as well. I know that there are some more great podcasts coming out of the Joy FM radio station. So thanks for listening. Thanks for dropping on by. And please remember, stay curious.
Welcome to Hot Entrepreneur on Joy, where you'll hear stories of successful entrepreneurs, sharing their success stories, how they're changing the world, trials and tribulations. There may even be a few laughs. Hot Entrepreneur.
Good morning. Welcome to Hot Entrepreneur. I'm Elizabeth Jackson. I want to introduce Guy Lawrence, whose company is Guy Lawrence, and his program is Wunderland. Good morning, Guy.
Thank you for having me. It's a very original company name.
Yes, well, I tell you, Mum and Dad did you proud. They really did. And again, joining us here at the desk is Georgia Ellis from Blue Chip Minds. Good morning, Georgia.
Good morning. Great to be back.
Yeah, thank you. Nice to have you. We all have different disciplines when it comes to how we run our lives, particularly as entrepreneurs. And mine is I swim. I do half an hour in the pool, I walk my dog, and then I swim. And that's where I pray, and it clears me, and it just gets me ready for my day. Now, inside that's a discipline for me that keeps me clear and able to function really well in my workspace. I know that's what I must do. I learned really recently about neuroscience, and it's a new journey for me. This is why I brought the guests in, and I'm doing this alone. I found out recently that, Georgia, not only are you a trainer out in the space, but you're also 18 years you've been considering neuroscience. Tell us a little bit about that. Why neuroscience?
Yeah, so it's really interesting. I stumbled across it. So it wasn't something that I was actually going out there looking for. It was all about me and my own personal journey, becoming an explorer and going searching for answers of how I can change my life and move into something a bit different. And that the space opened up through a number of different teachers, actually. It started to culminate into a mixture of what was neuroscience and personal development and a bit of spirituality, and bringing those all together. And I just became a real sponge for this knowledge, and I've spent close to 18 years going through it down very different rabbit holes, and one of those has been understanding neuroscience.
And Guy, for you, take us through what your experience is with neuroscience.
Yeah, where do I start? I've always been a bit of a searcher. Like growing up in Wales, I was never really content, and I always had this yearning for more, and I was constantly looking, but I was riddled with beliefs and things about myself at the same time. So I kind of just went off on a tangent for about 15 years.
These are good tangents, aren't they?
Yeah. And essentially I ended up coming to Australia in 2005. But I ended up in the health industry. Became a fitness trainer and loved every minute of it. But at the same time, still trying to fix that yearning, not knowing where to look or what to do. I actually started a company, and lo and behold, it went on and did pretty well. It was a natural protein supplement company, and we were doing a lot of blogging, and we had a podcast, and I got to access amazing people from all around the world, from all different modalities of health. So I got to talk about nutrition, I got to talk about fitness and things, but then neuroscience, and oh my God, it's like I already know this information, but I don't know it. And that's what opened this world up for me, and then started looking at it from about 2014 onwards.
So in your words, Georgia, what's neuroscience?
So neuroscience is study of the nervous system. That's really what it is. It's the study of us as human beings. It's the study of the body that we have, because the whole body's full of neural connections.
What about you, Guy, in your words? What's neuroscience?
Technically, that's spot on. But for me, it's the study of self.
Unpack that a little bit for us. Give us an idea of what that looks like.
I think if we look at let's look at a bit of a scientific approach. What they're studying in neuroscience is basically all these neurons and their information, their memories. So we sort of have a combination of a whole lot of memories within us, within our cells. And those memories go on to create our life and our body and what happens with us. So I think you can look at it going, okay, my body's storing memories from the past. It's storing things from the environment around me in these little neural networks.
And ultimately, the body is designed a certain way, and its number one priority is to keep you alive. That's it, and keep you safe. So as we learn and receive information, having to store that information, but we don't store it in the analytical mind. We're actually storing it in the body, which is amazing, and the nervous system. And depending on if we have heightened experiences at the time or not, like we always remember memorable events or traumas, our nervous system is heightened, and we're much more receptible to holding that information within us.
So the body's in charge?
We think it is.
Here's the thing. I've come to understand that the body, the subconscious mind is in every cell of the body. And the subconscious mind accounts for around about 95% of what we do every day. So therefore, the body can be in charge. But you do have the ability to think. Whoever created us, I don't know, gave us this ability called our conscious mind. We have choice sitting in here. In the seat of the conscious mind is our ability to choose. So we get to choose, and we get to notice what we're thinking and change them in a given moment. And luckily for me, I was at Guy's workshop on the weekend, his Let It In workshop, and he helped the students there unpack exactly what this is, this power of observation. And the neuroscience term is metacognition, and Guy unpacked that really well.
I remember hearing once, if you can think about your thoughts, then who's observing the thinking?
Okay.
Okay.
Say some more about that.
So that's the observer. That's that's your consciousness. That's I think the essence of who we are. We spend most of our time in a pretty busy world, and most of our focus is outward. Constantly, we constantly got appointments. We're constantly thinking ahead, and so the analytical mind is trying to predetermine the next moment without actually enjoying this moment. Now, what metacognition is, and is being that observer, is being able to start to become aware. I think of it as almost like a third person. We're having a conversation, but there's a part of me starting to observe my behavior, starting to see if I'm actually being short, aggressive, angry, a bit of a dickhead here and there to the next person or not. So that's why I believe metacognition and being the observer is the key to everything, because the moment you can start to observe yourself and see that and catch yourself only for one moment even, is the moment that you can start to interrupt maybe those trained behaviors that are going on, and that's the moment where you can start to actually create change. Because once we're the observer, we're not necessarily our emotions, we're not necessarily what we see, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because we become the interpreter of what we're seeing, don't we?
Correct.
We interpret it.
And you interpret that through the lens of your conditioning.
Yeah, your beliefs.
But how your beliefs form. So here's the crazy thing, right? When you're born, you've got to take on so much information from the world around you as a baby. Okay, you look at a giraffe when that's born. Within hours, it's up and walking. Humans, for us to live in this world, we've got to learn so many rules. There's so many things we've got to do. So nature created us in this way that we just have to sit back and we observe through what we see and what we hear and what we're feeling. All that comes into us and goes straight into the subconscious mind. So when you're born, you're actually born in a hypnotic state. Science is now showing us that a child between the ages of, when they're born to around 6 or 7 is in what we call theta brainwave, a hypnotic state, for about 7 years of their life, for around about 90% of the time. So therefore, imagine yourself, you're sitting there, you're a young child, you're taking in the world around you, and I'm seeing my parents who are either wealthy or poor, successful or unsuccessful, loving or abusive. So I'm now getting a program for my future. And the adults,
that's serious, isn't it? That's significant.
You need to know this, especially, and I know this is about being an entrepreneur. You need to know this.
Yeah.
Because if you're stepping out to run a business and you've got a program that you've inherited that is full of you'll never achieve anything because that's what I saw my parents doing, you are going to struggle. You're going to struggle because your subconscious mind controls 95% of what you do.
So it's a reset button too, isn't it? Because that's a safe place. So if you're thinking about going out there as an entrepreneur and say it's a scarcity mentality, what you'll do, now just if I get this wrong, tell me, but what you'll do is you'll continue to reset to scarcity mentality.
You will self-sabotage 100%.
Because guess what?
What?
The body's not going to want to change.
Ooh, I feel like I should have put that to some scary music.
But there's some good...
God.
But there's some great things that you don't want to change. Like I'm from Wales and I grew up with the belief rugby is the greatest game on earth.
Well, it is actually. I'm a Kiwi,
yeah,
by the way.
Go. So I'm happy to keep that one.
Yeah, that's a goodie.
Yeah, it's about noticing and choosing the beliefs. Like I've got some amazing beliefs. I wouldn't be where I am, but I also found that I had some beliefs that held me back.
So there's that thing, right? How do you get to the beliefs that are holding you back? Because if we are living reactively in life, we're reacting. If we're going out there and we're just functioning, how do you get to what it is that's holding you where you are? That's a big one, isn't it?
It's a big one, but the simplest thing you can start to do is become the observer. That's why metacognition is as far as I'm concerned, is the most important and practical thing anyone can do. And it's a skill. And it's a skill that we can develop and get better at it. And it's a lifelong process. There's no end result with it.
So it's so you notice that your behavior isn't in alignment with your mission or your word, right?
Yeah. Georgia said something beautiful off air. It all starts with awareness.
Awareness.
Self-awareness, yeah. So Dr. Bruce Lipton wrote a really great book called The Biology of Belief. And he says, if you want to know what your beliefs are, look at your life. Your life is a printout of your beliefs.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah, so if you want to know what your beliefs are in relation to, let's say I am an entrepreneur and I've been running business and it's not going very well, well, here you go. That's a printout of your belief system. There's something in there holding you back. If you want to know what your belief systems are in relation to what you believe you're worth in relation to income, look at your bank account. If you want to know what your beliefs are in relation to your intimate relationships, look at your partners. That's what you think you're worth. So you will start to surround yourself with things that you believe in. So your money, your relationships, and even your health plays a part here. So his work is amazing, absolutely amazing.
That's an incredibly powerful statement, Georgia. That's it, isn't it? That's the key.
Yeah.
So, okay. And so what's the next step? The next step from once you understand or you look and you observe where your life's at, by being an observer, is that enough to correct?
No, you got to want to.
Okay.
You've got
They
to
want
You've
to.
got to want it, I believe.
Because you've got to work for it, don't you? Everybody, there's no... So what's some of the work you've got to do? Let's talk about that. What's involved? Once you recognise...
Well, I think you have to accept. There has to be an acceptance, like, because you could be running off a belief, because once a belief is formed, you're going to start stacking assumption and choices and everything based upon this belief, and the next thing you know, that could have sent you off in a certain direction your entire life, but all based from that program that's come in, and then one day you wake up and go in. Why aren't I happy anymore? Why isn't this serving me anymore? Why am I feeling empty inside? I've done the model that I was told to do, and yet I'm not fulfilled. I've got the car, I've got the career, I've got the token partnership that I would need to be seen to be happy, but yet I'm empty. Why is that? And then to look at that and start to go in and realize what maybe it was me all along, and I'm not a victim to everything else out there, but it's my choice at the end of the day. And to look at that and start pulling out the weeds and getting back to truth takes courage. It really does. It takes a tremendous amount of courage to do so, and the want to do it. And sadly, from my experience, pain is normally the greatest motivator. So people wait until
they're in pain.
And sometimes a lot. I know Dr. Joe Dispenza has a beautiful saying all the time. He says, if you can look at your past, without an emotional charge, then that's called wisdom. So is a memory without an emotional charge is wisdom. And once you have wisdom, you become wiser. That's where the learning is. That's where the true beauty is, right? That's how we grow. That's growth. That's muscle.
That's muscle.
And
That's
the more you do it, the stronger you become, and you'll find that whatever life throws at you, because you've been able to overcome that, and it's actually called your refractory period. So the time it takes from an event for you to actually be able to look back at it with wisdom. So some people, for instance, go through life and they hold this resentment towards the event and the people in that event for a very long time, and they don't go within and go searching for the answers. So their refractory period becomes a very long time and their life doesn't change. But when you have a level of awareness, a level of self-awareness, and really understand the importance of, I'm looking at this through my lens, and being able to change that, it becomes a skill. So somebody could do something terrible to me today. My refractory period will probably be a day. I'll get over it because I've had so many things happen in my life where the refractory period was longer, and I don't want to go back there. But I've been on journeys now to understand that, hey, I'm looking at this through a lens. What happens if I look at it from another point of view? What happens if I get out of my shoes and look at it from another point of view? And the refractory period becomes shorter and you build a skill.
That's a discipline, isn't it? Right,
it is a discipline.
So Joe talks about creating new neuro pathways. So that's a new neuro pathway for you too, isn't it?
It becomes a habit. Here's the thing I love about neuroscience and the subconscious mind. It is unlimited to what you can give it to do, right? So every day you delegate so many tasks to your subconscious mind. It gets you out of bed. It walks you to the bathroom. It drives your car for you. It does up your shoes. Anything that you can do without thinking, that's your subconscious mind doing it for you. So I run workshops in corporations around the world, and I love this. I'll be sitting in a workshop and I'll be towards the end of the day, and I'll say to everyone in there when I'm talking about this, I'll say, it's not me running this workshop here today. It's my subconscious mind. I'm sitting on a beach in Tahiti and my subconscious mind is running the show for me. And it is, because I've done it so much through repetition that my subconscious mind knows what to do. For you, Elizabeth, you know what to do in here.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know which buttons to press.
It's
Clear
good,
to
isn't
see.
it?
Oh,
Thanks,
yeah.
guys.
So you
Thanks.
you've delegated hosting a podcast to the subconscious mind. Does it? So imagine if you learn a new skill, like being able to shorten that refractory period, subconscious mind's going to do it for you automatically.
It's just beautiful. It's forgiveness, isn't it? Forgiving and getting out of your own way to forgive. When you talked about looking at it from another perspective, there's some real power in that too, isn't it? And changing the length of time that you spend on that. I mean, that would be incredible if you could get over something instantly as a human being. Then you get present to something else, don't you?
Yep.
Wow.
And you have control to do that. You can change that. You can change the program that's running silently in the background. You're giving yourself a software update.
So let's talk about some of the disciplines in changing that software. What are some of the disciplines that you both practice every day so you get some mastery in this area? Because I want our listeners to have stuff that they can fundamentally start doing.
For me, meditation, and that's a discipline and a practice that I do daily.
Every day.
Every day.
How long do you meditate for?
It varies. I'll say an hour.
Okay. Meditation for an hour. That's great.
Generally, and it'll fluctuate to 90 to 30. And meditation, again, for me, initially, like you can go much deeper with it, but starting out for the listeners who might not meditate, it's being able to train yourself to start to become self-aware. The yogis use the breath, keep all your awareness on the breath as you breathe in and breathe out. So you're trying to hold your attention, your awareness to something, and the breath is just like an anchor, so you can follow it in and out. And then, of course, thoughts come in, and you go, because everyone thinks. Meditation's not about not thinking, I don't believe anyway. But you're training there. You're creating new neural pathways because you're starting to understand that you're becoming aware of your thoughts, that you can become aware of them. Because what does a thought create? It creates a feeling. Okay? And that feeling then helps you interpret what is going out in the world right now. So our feelings are governing the way we feel, and they're actually influencing the way we interpret the world. But that's not necessarily truth. It's just what we're feeling, and we're perceiving the world through our feelings. And our thoughts are triggering them. So as you can start to continue to train that and keep coming back, you can then actually start to observe your feelings and your thoughts and go, okay, well, I'm feeling this way and I'm thinking this way, but hey, this is just my subconscious body starting to kick up, do its thing.
So you start to dismantle stuff internally.
Exactly, and you can start to break it down. So you practice that in the morning. But like a wise man once said to me when I was learning this work, he's like, Guy, I'll tell you a secret. He said, true meditation is what you do with your eyes open during the day, not what you do when you're sitting there meditating. So I was like, right? Because that's where life is happening to us. That's when the bills come in. That's when somebody cuts us up in the street. So it's when the pressure is on is what's going to come out of us.
So you can understand what meditation is, building that muscle to observe yourself in the moment. So when those moments occur,
you recognize it, don't you?
You recognize it and you stop. And all it takes is that split second to change the way you're going to react or respond. So there's a difference, right? So meditation, Guy's meditating every morning. He's teaching himself how to respond in a situation. That means I'm going to think and notice my thoughts and my feelings before I blurt something out that's going to be, stupid or whatever it might be. But then if I'm reacting, I'm not noticing my thoughts. The program's in charge.
Yeah, that's running the game.
And that means my past is running the game because all of your memories are just a record of the past. So you're turning up every day reacting. Nothing in your life is going to change.
Yeah, you can't go back to the source of peace
We're
because the game's running game's running it.
We're a walking artifact.
We're a walking artifact. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah.
That is good. Oh my gosh, I'm so glad we did this show.
And it's really interesting. One of the things that I've got a couple of what I call mentors or people that I've really have changed my life. Their teachings have. Bob Proctor was one of the original. Then there was Joe Dispenza, Bruce Lipton. There's so many, but they're probably the key ones. And being able to, the biggest lesson for me was understanding how my mind worked and how I could change that. And then I've built over the years different practices.
So once you made a decision called, I really want to look at this, these educators just showed up?
Absolutely.
Or did you have to go for them?
No,
They just showed up.
They just
See,
turned
there's
up.
something about that too, isn't there?
And I'll tell you what happens. There's a part in your brain called your reticular activating system.
Whoa, I knew she
right?
was going to get good. Whoa.
So this is a part of your brain that filters everything for you. So now, Georgia, 18 years ago, had some things happen to her in her life, and now she's awake. And her reticular activating system's now on board. It's starting to notice things in my environment equal to what I'm thinking, what I'm believing, and what I want. So now, even though Bob Proctor, Bruce Lipton, Joe Dispenza have always been there, I never noticed them before because they weren't of interest to me. But
Yeah.
my brain now is going to find things aligned to what I want and what I need. So I'm noticing things differently. And that's my brain kicking in. So as soon as you have that moment of, okay, life's going to be different. I want things that are going to help me, whether it be in my business or whatever it is. That simple command, that intention to the reticular activating system changes what you see in the world. It starts to change what gets filtered in and what gets filtered out.
It literally influences the lens in which you look at life and whether you see obstacles or opportunities.
I've got my partner in the studio and she's just loving this. She's like, we're getting thumbs up.
Thumbs up, nice.
I could keep going all day on this topic with you guys. I just feel like this is gold. This is gold because this is forgiveness, this is transformation, this is realignment, this is a game changer, isn't it? This whole genesis of learning. Because, I did landmark education for 4 years and I got transformation. Oh, this is transformation. Okay, that's what that looks like. And I did the same thing. I just woke up one morning and went, it's just not enough. I want more. But the neuroscience, for me, just starting to understand that and to learn that how to refire, that you can refire is something, it's incredibly... It's a gift. It's extraordinary to know that we can do that as human beings. Thank you both so much for joining me on the show. I mean that.
Absolute pleasure.
So, Georgia, how do we find you?
So you can find me at Blue Chip Minds, www.bluechipminds.com.
Guy?
Guy Lawrence.
Oh, yeah. I know. It's good, isn't it? Go.
.com.au.
Thank you. Thank you both so much. I really
so much.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks for listening to Hot Entrepreneur. Remember, we rely on your support to make us a success. So subscribe to our podcast, follow us on socials, and share our episodes with your friends, however you can.
Today is turning into the most curious adventure I've ever had.